Over the next 2 weeks, our Denver Broncos are set for our most important stretch of the season so far. We currently sit 7-3 in the AFC West in a three-way tie for first place with the Raiders and the Chiefs. Well, over the next 2 weeks, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders and then the Kansas City Chiefs. Today we've got our matchup against the Raiders. Next episode we will play against the Chiefs. And I think next episode is finally when we're going to have our next prospect profile going over the skill position players in this year's draft class. Going to be a fun game here against the Raiders, a team we've already played against and lost to earlier in the season, giving them the head-to-head tiebreaker, hence why they currently are ahead of us within the division. It has certainly been a weird season for us. I mean, we won one game 10-6. We lost 40-3 against the Raiders, 41-30 against the Lions. This team really just does not make any form of sense. But we were able to bounce back in a big way after the bye week, defeating the Bengals 29-14. Solid game from the offense, although we only had one offensive touchdown. Our two scores in the second half were both from the defense. Joe Burrow individually had a pretty good game, but our defense was really strong. We let up the big play and the touchdown early, but after that, we didn't allow anything else until garbage time. Patrick Surtain, who's had a couple really bad games this year, did a great job on Jamar Chase. And then again, the defense was terrific. Benjamin Morrison, in his first start of the year, had a strip sack, which was a fumble, and then an interception. Both of those plays ended up being our defensive touchdowns en route to him winning the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. That was a good start for us. We know how good the Bengals are. Joe Burrow was and still is the frontrunner for the MVP award, but it's not going to get any easier. Our schedule is brutal, even after the Raiders and Chiefs. Packers are no slouch. Jets might have Jalen Milroe back healthy by that point. The Ravens are really good. The Chiefs are really good. And then the Browns are the Browns. But everybody else there, we are not taking lightly at all. As we look at this Raiders team, it's no secret that they have been one of the best stories in the NFL this year, largely because of their top scoring offense. Now, last week, the Bengals had the number one scoring offense going into that game, and we only let them score 14 points. Looking at the Raiders, they obviously had the big win against us. Then they had their bye week, and they've still been playing really well since. 3-1 since the bye. They've scored at least 24 points in each of their last 4 games. And their only loss is in Baltimore by 3 to the number 1 seed Ravens. So it's not even that bad of a loss per se. And unlike us, their schedule is fairly easy. They've got the entire NFC North along with the Commanders and the Steelers. They've already wrapped up their games against Baltimore and Kansas City twice, whereas we have not seen any of those teams at all. Of course, we played against the Raiders earlier this year back in Week 6, and there was a lot of offense. We lost 43-40. Jalen Daniels had maybe the greatest quarterback performance I've ever seen in my entire life. Bo Nix was fantastic as well, but we could not do enough. Although, I don't know why Trevion Henderson is here, because he was not on our team during this game. The Raiders had 3 receivers with well over 100 yards. Pearsall made big plays. Jaden Higgins scored 3 times, and Devontae Smith made Patrick Surtain look like an XFL corner. Remember, we were up by 12 in this game with like 3 minutes left. We ended up losing, which certainly broke some hearts. As we look at this Raiders team, obviously, we know they're led by Jalen Daniels. What a turnaround it has been for him. Through the first year and a half, at least, of his career, he looked like a bust. But he finally started to play well at the end of last year, and it has certainly carried into this year where he has been one of, if not maybe the very best quarterback in the NFL. Passer rating above 125. He shattered his career high in passing touchdowns mark weeks ago. That's with only 2 interceptions. He's completed 74% of his passes, 11% higher than last year, 8.8 yards per attempt, 1.5 higher than last year, and 100 more yards per game than last year. He only has 1 game this season with a passer rating below 100, and even that was an 87, a very respectable mark. Obviously, he had the best game of his season against us, but over the last 4 weeks, he has a touchdown to interception ratio of 14-1. That puts him in second place for the MVP, 2 spots ahead of our guy Bo Nix, who is in 4th. Now, I will say, if you're looking for some optimism, our defense just stopped the offense with the number 1 guy on this list, Joe Burrow, and the Bengals only scored 14 points. Our defense, as I've talked about, it seems like they have usually 13 really good games a year, but then the games where they don't play well, they just look completely horrible. The Raiders game earlier this year, obviously being an example. The matchup against Detroit, another example. These guys obviously have great skill position players. We know how good their receivers are. The three of these guys combined for at least 350 yards against us, maybe more. That's not to mention they have Devin Neal in the backfield and Brock Bowers at tight end. That's a pretty good group of weapons for Jalen Daniels. The defense has been the weak point for this team this year. They've been very average on that side of the ball, and obviously they really struggled in the game against us, but they still have some talent on defense. They've got some good young players, and obviously Max Crosby is a game wrecker. That's not to mention that we have gotten hit by the injury bug. It seems like right when we have guys coming back, especially on offense, there are new injuries. The game that Marvin Mims finally returns, Ashton Jeanty dislocates his ankle. And that's not to mention Damon Clowney also tore his abdominal. Jeanty, obviously the huge loss here. He will likely be out for the remainder of the regular season, and the earliest he can come back would be the wild card round of the playoffs. So it's good that he would be healthy for the postseason, but obviously not ideal that we will not have him until then for our chase to get into the playoffs. Well, there's a good reason why we traded for TreVeyon Henderson. He will now be our lead back. He's looked good in the 2 games that we've had him, so I'm confident that he'll be able to produce. And then Zamir White and Harrison Whaley are more than competent complementary backs. Those guys were solid with Ashton Jeanty as the starter before we got TreVeyon Henderson. So I think we'll be okay, despite losing one of our key skill position players with Jeanty. So with that, let's get this show on the road. Let's see if we can stop the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL and look to regain that first place spot in the division. Our final order of business is that we're going to make another change in the secondary. Last week, it was Ben Morrison moving to nickel corner, replacing Chris Abrams-Drain. Today, we're going to start Savon Revel at safety over Javon McIntyre, who's been a little inconsistent, it feels like this year, especially in coverage. McIntyre really struggled in the game against the Raiders a few weeks ago, and I don't want Jalen Daniels to exploit the left half of the field vertically, where McIntyre often struggles as a center field traditional safety. And I think Savon Revel, maybe he's not the run defender that McIntyre is, but he's a better pure cover player. So here we go. Biggest game of the regular season so far here in Week 12. The 7-3 Raiders against the 7-3 Broncos for first place in the AFC West. Denver starts with it. Play action for Henderson. Nix floats it up in the bucket. Chris Brazzell comes down with it. What a throw by Bo Nix. Brazzell scored twice in the loss earlier this year against the Raiders, as the second-year pro out of Tennessee brings it to the 27. Following play here for the Broncos, it looks like it's an RPO. Henderson keeps it with space to the left side, breaking tackles, and he gets around 17. Strong starts of the drive for TreVeyon Henderson, and Denver early is in the red zone. First and goal from the 10. Back to TreVeyon Henderson, finds some space, jukes away from the defender, breaks a tackle, and he is in for a touchdown. What a run and what a drive for TreVeyon Henderson. Not bad in his first start as a Denver Bronco, as he goes for 43 yards on 3 carries and a score here in the opening drive. 3rd and 2 for the Raiders offense. Jalen Daniels looks to throw it. Under pressure, and he is sacked. Mykel Williams with his 9th of the year. He is towards the top of the sacks list in the NFL. Very impressive after his struggles a year ago. Good to see the defense with a 3 and out after allowing 43 points against the Raiders earlier this year. Up the middle. Little Brazzle dazzle. Chris Brazzell brings it to the 48, grabbing at his lower leg, and he'll be checked out on the sideline. Brazzell missed most of the game last week. He was banged up early, so that's not great to see him hurt again. Here is Nix, fires for Marvin Mims. He caught 7 passes in his return a week ago against the Bengals. Now a 3rd and 14 after a penalty. Nix looks to throw it. It's a screen for Whaley. Gets blocks. Jukes away from the defender. Still on his feet. Runs into Marvin Mims. And he tumbles all the way to the 17. What a play for Harrison Whaley. Bo Nix off to another quick start as he is shredding this defense to start this game. Following play for Denver, back in the red zone, it's Henderson again, and this time he's going backwards for a loss of 3. Tommy Eichenberg brings him down, and that'll make it a 2nd and 13. Couple of Buckeye teammates colliding there on first down. Play action, here's Ryan Williams with space. He probably did not need to juke inside, but he still brings it to the 5. The Raiders defense really struggling so far. These guys don't lack talent, and of course they added Cooper DeJean at the trade deadline, but they are struggling as Trey Henderson rolls into the end zone for another score. Ashton Genty had 2 rushing touchdowns in the first 10 games of the year. Trevion Henderson has 2 in the first quarter today. That is something. As the Raiders offense returns, Jalen Daniels, obviously at the top of the list of the MVP race. He might need to look like an MVP if his defense is going to play like this. There's a nice catch by Jaden Higgins, wrapped up past the 50 at the 47. Higgins was a machine when these two teams saw each other a couple of weeks ago. 2nd and 8. Play action. Daniels fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Aleem, the Dream, McNeil. Barrett Browning with the force. It has been Denver domination here in the first quarter. The Broncos have been awesome on both ends of the field. The offense has been terrific, and the defense, after allowing 43 points against these guys, has been ridiculously good to start. 2 sacks, only 1 first down allowed, and now the turnover. What a first quarter for the Broncos. Now, we still have 3 quarters left, but so far we're giving these boys belt. Hasn't even been close so far in the biggest game of the year. But again, we do not want to put our pedal off the metal. We were up by 10 with 3 minutes to go against the Raiders and lost. 3rd and 2, here is Bo Nix. Clean pocket, looking, floats it up for Mims, and it is tipped down incomplete. Nix only threw 1 incompletion in the first quarter, so he doubles his total within a matter of 6 seconds. 51-yard try for Will Lutz is up and through. Lutz had a couple of misses against the Raiders earlier this year, which might have costed us the game. But he makes that one, and it's 17-0. 3rd and 10. Daniels under pressure, sacked again! Aleem McNeil in the backfield, bringing him down. 3rd sack of the game for the Denver defense. All 3 defensive drives have ended with sacks today. 3rd and 13. Harold Fannin gets around 5, wrapped up by V.J. Payne, the former Kansas State Wildcat. Ew. And the Broncos have to punt it for the first time today. Finally, something goes the way of the Raiders. Daniels connects with Devontae Smith, who gets it to the 50. Smith with over 160 yards when these two teams saw each other earlier this year, dominating his former college teammate Pat Surtain. With a man in motion here on first down, Daniels under more pressure. He is sacked again. Aleem, the Dream, his 2nd of the first half. McNeil has been dominant up front. The entire defensive line has been dominant. That's 4 sacks now. 3rd and 8. Short throw is caught. Devontae Smith does not get the first down as he's wrapped up after only a gain of 5. Aleem McNeil in the backfield again. What a first half for him. Broncos back with it, up 17-0, looking to add to the lead. RPO for Mims. Hurdles a man and gets lit up! But he still gets the first down. A big hit there by C.J. Madden, the number 6 overall pick out of Purdue, who has been quiet as a rookie. Here at the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 4 from the 44, 17-0 lead for the Broncos. Who could have seen this going into this game? I was expecting a super tight, close game. Has not been the case at all. On the run, a nice throw hauled in by Tez Johnson, who brings it to the 42-yard line. The brotherly connection strikes again. Around a minute left in the first half. Denver taking their sweet old time. 3rd and 4. It's a levels concept. Somebody's going to be open up the middle, and it's Tez again who brings it to the 26. Denver goes no huddle. They're going to run the ball with Whaley. Ramming through, dude. Still on his feet. And the Broncos call time as he's wrapped up at the 13. I feel like that play is a perfect encapsulation of what this game has been. We have wanted it more on every level. Now from the 13, Nix looks to throw it, rolls out to the right, looks to scramble as he tucks it and runs. First down, out of bounds, at the 1. Denver punching closer and closer to the end zone with a shot to add to the lead. 1st and goal with 26 seconds left in the half. Nix rolls right, looks short, and it is caught. Harold Fannin Jr. with a touchdown, and it is 24-0. Utter domination from the Denver Broncos. This game has not been close. We took control on the opening possession, and we have not looked back. I mean, the Raiders only have 52 yards right now. They almost had 52 points when these teams played against each other earlier in the year. As we take a look at our halftime report across the rest of the NFL, we want the Chiefs to lose. We want the Bengals to lose. But we want the Chiefs to lose more for the division, and unfortunately that would not happen. Rashee Rice leads this touchdown drive. Usually it's not a good thing when Rashee Rice is leading a drive, as the Chiefs win 28-22. So right now, Kansas City is in first place of the division, but the winner of this game would pass them. Chiefs potentially have a chance to get back in front with their game against us next week. In Atlanta, it's been a rough year for the Falcons. They are 1-9, but they had the Bucks on upset alerts. I think the Bo Nix, Michael Penix debate might finally be over, although Penix is also having himself quite the start with 3 scores, 2 of which have been hauled in by Trayshawn Holden, who's been really the only bright spot this year for the Falcons. And then we head to South Beach, the Chargers and the Dolphins. The Chargers would come from behind, end up winning this game, beating Miami, who might be poised for a quarterback switch soon with Dylan Raiola sitting in the wings. Miami has rolled with Tua this year, trying to stay alive in the wild card race, but at 5-6 in a loaded AFC, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a switch soon. As for the Chargers, they improved to 4-7. Obviously, it's kind of a lost season for them. The AFC West is 3 teams, and then the Chargers. As we go into the second half, we are up big. I think our focus probably is going to be on chewing clock. Bo Nix is 19 of 23, 191 and a score. Trevion Henderson, 10 carries, 52 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Everybody's getting the ball on offense. We're spreading the wealth. And then defensively, the pass rush is the reason why we're playing so well. Daniels has been fine when throwing the ball, 8 of 12, 77 yards, but he hasn't had time. When these teams played against each other earlier this year, he was able to launch the ball around the yard because he had all day in the pocket to throw the ball. Not today. Pivotal drive to start the third for the Raiders, and they do not get the first down as Devontae Smith only gets 6. Colin Wright brings him down. Denver with a quick 3-and-out. They will get it back on offense. 24 first half points for Bo Nix and the gang. 3rd and 5. Nix looks to throw it. Rolls out to the right as an open man. It's Tez Johnson. I don't know why he needed to do the extra stuff there, but his 6th catch of the game goes for a first down. Marvin Mims is banged up. God help us all. He's not going to go to the locker room, though. That is a good sign, but given our lead, we're going to be pretty cautious with him the rest of the way. 3rd and 6. Nix finds room to run with it, and he will. First down into the red zone, out of bounds at the 17, but not before gaining 24. Early in the second half, it has been much of the same. The Broncos cooking on both sides of the ball as Nix connects with Harrison Whaley for the touchdown, and Denver adds to the lead 31-0. I mean, the Raiders have only ran the ball twice today. 2 carries, 15 yards for Devin Neal in the first half, and I can't see them running it much given that, they're down by 31. Here's a nice play for Darnell Washington past the 50 to the 43. The Raiders just got to start somewhere. They've got to get one drive to go their way. They finally have it past the 50, I'm pretty sure for the first time all day. Daniels is intercepted, though, on first down. It's Drew Sanders who picks it off. The running back was wide open in the flat, but Jalen Daniels forces it in, turns it over, and things go from bad to worse for Las Vegas. And at this point, we might be able to bring the backups in soon enough. 3rd and 15, Nix under pressure. He throws it away. C.J. Madden, the rookie, leads the cavalry for the Raiders. And Las Vegas is actually kind of moving it pretty well here. 3rd and 4, under a minute in the third quarter, as Devin Neal is lit up. Jeffrey Bossa brings him down. It's a loss of 4. The Raiders at this point have no choice but to go for it. I mean, they're down by 31, for Christ's sake. Daniels goes short. Devin Neal breaks the tackle, gets the first down, and that'll wrap up what was otherwise a not very good third quarter for the Raiders. They are now down 31-0. I mean, this game has been a total disaster for them. Biggest game of the year. Obviously, for this young team, it's really the biggest game they've played together, and they look like the Raiders of old. 2nd and 10, here's Devin Neal up the middle, finds the hole, gets the first down. Devin Neal's made some nice plays during this possession. He also got laid out, though, by Jeffrey Bossa. 3rd and goal from the 8 after a couple of incompletions. Devin Neal switches from the right to the left side of the backfield as Jalen Daniels will look to throw it. Has some time, but he misfires looking for Devontae Smith. Again, there's no reason not to go for it here on 4th and goal, so that's what they're going to do. Daniels looks to throw it under pressure. It is intercepted again! The White Bronco, Drew Sanders, with his second of the game. I don't know why he felt the need to return it, but we're up by 31. These guys can do whatever they want. The starting defense has allowed 0 points through 3 quarters, and I think that'll be it for much of the starters. New quarterback in the game, it's Malik Murphy. His first NFL drop back, he gets sacked. That was a really bad play. Tommy Eichenberg brings him down. Murphy drafted in the 6th round out of Duke. Slipped down the draft board, but we wanted to take a shot on the upside. 2nd and 23, his first career pass is picked off. Cooper DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner whose team is down by 31, but he gets the interception to stat pad, bringing the Raiders to the 3-yard line. Not a great start in the NFL career of Malik Murphy. First 2 designed passing plays is a sack and a pick. Backups in on defense as well. 2nd and goal, Devin Neal walks the red carpet, and the shutout is dead. The starters still deserved the credit for the shutout, but Malik Murphy had to ruin it. 31-7, and you know it is a 3-score game. Onside kick is recovered by Marvin Mims, who's out there with the hands team. Denver's going to look to chew some clock for the next 5 minutes and end this game for good. 3rd and 1, 3.5 to go. Murphy's second career pass is caught for a first down. Nice play into the hands of Christian Horn, who converts for the Broncos. 3rd and 3, a first down likely ends the game. Harrison Whaley's had a busy second half, dives for the first down. Why are the Raiders calling timeouts? They're down by 24. I later figured out that somebody got hurt on that play. That's why they called the time, but it was still funny. 31-7, your final. What a win for the Denver Broncos, who could have won this game by way more, but we took the pedal off the metal at the end of the 3rd quarter. We brought the backups in. I mean, what a blowout. Complete opposite of the game in week 6. That was back and forth, neck and neck, all about offense. I mean, our offense still played well, but I mean, maybe we could have donated some of these defensive drives to the game earlier in the year. This team just doesn't make sense, and I'm just going to try to enjoy the ride. I don't get how 1 month ago we allowed nearly 50 to these guys, and then today they can't move the ball at all. 26-32, 244, and 2 scores for Bo Nix. He was ultra efficient. He did not make mistakes. Jalen Daniels, meanwhile, had 1 game this year with a passer rating under 100. It was at like 87. Today, it was 43. Wasn't all his fault. I mean, the offensive line sucked. The defense sucked. But he also did not do himself any favors. Could have been worse. He could have been Malik Murphy, I guess. Busy game for Harrison Whaley, while Trevion Henderson was very good in the first half. And then we only gave him the ball once in the second half. There was no use for him because we were up by so much. Nobody really stood out receiving-wise. I mean, no one stood out at all on the Raiders. And then for us, as I mentioned at halftime, we were spreading the ball around. Everybody got the love. Our offensive line was terrific. Theirs was not. And the same can be said for the defenses. Aleem McNeil was terrific. Drew Sanders with the 2 interceptions. What a win. Biggest win of the year for us, without a doubt. To go against a red-hot Raiders team who the NFL fandom is falling in love with, and to just decimate them like that, that says something, and teams are going to continue to take us even more seriously. We did lose B.J. Ojulari on the opening kickoff. I was hoping to get him extra playing time with Damon Clowney out. Obviously, we could not. So our pass rush depth is thinning. It's a good thing we got Jack Sawyer at the trade deadline. Looking at some scores around the rest of the league, it turns out we moved from the number 6 seed all the way up to 2nd, with the Bills losing to M.J. Morris and the New York Football Giants. So Baltimore, who we play against in 2 weeks, is the only team ahead of us. But if we lose to Kansas City next week, then we're going to be one of the wild cards. Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, Barrett Carter, and Jack Campbell win the Players of the Week. I was hoping it would be Drew Sanders. The 2 of them finished with identical stat lines. Bo Nix is back in 2nd for the MVP. Him and Jalen Daniels swap spots, with JD moving into the 4 slot. Monday Night Football for first place in the division. Now that the Raiders are gone, it's time for the big boys to battle it out in a heavyweight clash. We have not played against the Chiefs since week 7 of last year, and it has been a while. So I'm excited to see how we match up against Patrick Mahomes and the fellas. Mahomes hasn't put up the crazy big numbers, but the Chiefs are quietly lurking in, I think, 5th place of the wild card race, and obviously with a win, they would take the lead in the division. We'll also have a prospect profile going over the running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in the next episode as well. I apologize this episode was so quick, but there wasn't that much to cover. We gave them boys belt. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out. Broncos country. Let's ride.